Back on January 25th of 2014, I began my movie reviews by covering Man of Steel.
Released in the summer of 2013, Man of Steel was one of the most anticipated movies of that year.
On January 26, 2015, to celebrate my first anniversary, I revisited the character that starred these reviews, where after careful research making sure I got the date exactly right, I got the date wrong. So in keeping with this tradition, enjoy this second anniversary special, again released not even close to the second anniversary date.
Why did you leave me? Why? We had so much unfinished business. Who's your daddy?
Superman Doomsday stars James Marsden, Anne Heche, and Adam Baldwin as the titular Superman, an actor that I really loved on Firefly and Serenity.
You gotta see who she's got. But he's handsome.
I'll be in my bunk.
Then I quickly started hating once I followed his Twitter feed.
Well, my days of not taking you seriously are certainly coming to a middle.
Released in 2007, Superman Doomsday was the first of many DC animated universe original movies, based liberally on the now classic Death of Superman comic book story arc. It was the first Superman animated project to receive the PG-13 rating for its massive amount of violence. The DC animated movies have acquired quite a reputation among comic book fans. I would go as far as to say some of the best comic book movies ever made are part of DC's direct-to-video animated line. It's not surprising at all that DC made Bruce Timm the producer of this and many of their direct-to-video animated movies. Timm's resume includes He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, She-Ra, and Tiny Toons Adventures. But his most noteworthy work is Batman the Animated Series. He co-created that series along with the now famous character of Harley Quinn.
Hey, sugar, you want to read me my rights?
You have the right to remain silent.
Ow! Ow!
Jerk.
He also worked on Superman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond. So as far as DC's animation goes, Bruce Timm is their go-to guy. But even with Bruce Timm on board, Superman Doomsday was a less than perfect creation. If you thought Superman was brutal to civilians in Man of Steel, then you should check out the damage he causes in this movie. Sure, the destruction isn't as widespread here as it was in Man of Steel, but Man of Steel also has the excuse of being a newer Superman with limited to no fighting experience. Here we have a very experienced Superman plowing Doomsday through buildings without a second thought. Add to it, at the end of the battle when Superman flies Doomsday into space and throws him back into the planet, rather than throwing him into a random field or somewhere in the ocean, he throws him right into the middle of Metropolis. He literally had almost anywhere else on the planet to choose from, but he instead puts him in one of the spots guaranteed to cause the most collateral damage.
You gotta get out of here.
I got an idea.
Don't even think about it.
Never do.
What are you doing? Johnny, no!
Come on! Flame on!
There goes a stupid man.
Lex is obsessed with Superman. That's pretty much universal no matter which version of Lex Luthor you have. An obsession with Superman is going to exist.
That's amazing. Amazing! Too good to be true.
And this movie has an interesting take on it.
Why did you leave me?
Well, not an interesting take as much as an interesting idea of a take on it. This movie thought it would be good to add sexual overtones to Lex's obsession to Superman. The opening dialogue says it very clearly.
Just look at him. So sleek, so powerful, so beautiful. Like some great golden god made flesh.
But then the movie takes it way too far. Once we are shown that the new Superman is a clone controlled by Lex, we see Lex's behavior towards his clone, and it no longer feels like allusions to sex. It suddenly appears that Lex wants to have sex with Superman.
Who's your daddy?
Not only that, he wants to have very rough sex.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
It is utterly bizarre. They clearly had a good idea here, but they went way too far with it. Add to it how bizarre it is when Lex finds out that Lois was dating Superman and how he instantly starts hitting on her.
He was more than your constant rescuer. You must be terribly lonesome without him.
And he's not even effective at it. He's overbearing as fuck.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Very early in the movie, we see Lois being very dismissive to Clark.
Well, I'm off to Afghanistan, Lois.
Happy trails, Smallville.
Guess I'll be seeing you.
Don't step on any landmines.
Then, not long later, we see Superman and Lois at the Fortress of Solitude, and it's heavily implied they slept together. So clearly, the earlier encounter between Lois and Clark, Lois was just keeping up appearances. Well, if you thought that, you're absolutely wrong.
You know, I've been thinking. About Clark.
Kent? While you're snuggling with me?
See, it turns out Superman is willing to sleep and be in a serious committed relationship with Lois, but not willing to tell her his secret identity?
Look, I know who you are. Why can't you just tell me?
Lois, I care about you more than anyone else on Earth. To reveal my secret identity would compromise your safety.
In case you're wondering, yes, that is really messed up. Why is he even in a relationship with Lois if he doesn't feel he can trust her with a basic piece of information like his human name? His refusal to give her this confirmation comes off less like he's protecting her and more like he's just being a big douchebag. And at the end, when he finally does reveal himself to be Clark Kent to her,
Clark.
The viewer doesn't feel like he's now fully committed to the relationship. All the viewer can think is, about time.
Clark.
A dickweed.
It's easy to see that with a title like Superman Doomsday, the main villain would definitely be a clone of Superman. That's obvious, right? In fact, Doomsday is first seen at the 10-minute mark, and he dies at the 26-minute mark. Now, it is only a 77-minute movie, but that's extremely quick even by the standards of these direct-to-video time limits. But they don't even properly build up Doomsday. Here's this super powerful being with at least the physical strength of Superman, and to show how badass he is, they have Doomsday kill a defenseless deer. How does this in any way establish him to be any sort of badass? At most, it establishes him as petty. A scene like this would be good to establish a schoolyard bully.
Hold it, Chazzy. Hold it right there.
What are you doing? You're on my team.
There are no teams.
Ah!
To put it quite simply, Doomsday is one of the biggest badasses in Superman's villains gallery. The character that beat Superman to death not with kryptonite or any sort of weapon, but with his raw, physical strength. Yet, he is rather unimpressive in this movie. Might as well call this movie Superman, some dick who kills deers. There's this bizarre bit where they reveal that Lex Luthor has cured lots of diseases and is slowly releasing them in the most profitable way possible.
Get this to Biochem. Hand carry only. Keep it off the interlink.
I know the drill, Lex. What is it, the cure for cancer?
Muscular dystrophy. I can cure every known case with a simple inoculation. Have Swan find a way to slow it to a crawl. Turn it into a lifetime treatment program.
Then we see Superman working hard in an attempt to cure cancer.
Have you cured cancer yet, Kal-El?
I can design a machine that receives faint transmissions from the distant future, sculpt a miniature sun from dwarf star matter, but I can't find a way to keep human cells from metastasizing. I wish I could help humankind by doing more than just being its resident strongman.
It successfully shows how different these two are, but I fail to see how it contributes to the plot in any way. It seems like a huge amount of very specific information given that could easily be cut out without the script suffering. They could provide the same exposition by having a plant run by Luthor explode and have Superman find the survivors while Lex concerns himself with covering up any wrongdoing done at the plant. It's animation, so an action scene costs the same as a dialogue scene. Plus, it would be far more exciting than seeing the difference in how these two handle viruses. It would be fine if somehow these cures or viruses play into the story, but they don't. They serve no purpose other than showing the differences between these characters. So why not show those differences in a more exciting way than these two discussing their plans for curing diseases? There is an expectation with a Superman story featuring Doomsday. It's one of the most popular story arcs in all of comic book history. What made Doomsday such a great villain was that almost nothing was known about him. He broke out of whatever mysterious vault he was held in, started battling Superman across the country until finally in Metropolis they kill each other. This movie isn't about the death of Superman though. It's about the death and return of Superman. But the movie is called Superman Doomsday, and Doomsday only plays a role in the death of Superman. So having him be in the title and having so little of him in the story feels like a completely wasted opportunity. Hopefully DC learns from this mistake and doesn't just use Doomsday as a throwaway villain in future projects. This is a ridiculously flawed movie. Some of the choices they made for the characters here are utterly bizarre. They have this weird kid background character that gives off a truly creepy vibe.
Last year for Halloween, I dressed like Superman. Now I'm gonna do it every year for the rest of my life.
There's also this side plot about Jimmy getting a new job that doesn't fit in the story at all. It only exists to burn runtime. However, it's not completely bad. I like the moment when Superman lifts Doomsday into space in a desperate attempt to save a small child. That's a cool idea that works well. And that's what this movie really is. A collection of cool ideas. Just most of them are executed quite poorly. Having Lex's obsession have sexual undertones could have worked. But rather than have it be undertones, they went all in, having Lex appear to want to have very rough sex with Superman. Then the idea that Superman has to come to terms with trusting someone with his identity could be a very cool story. But having Superman and Lois already in an intimate relationship makes this story imply that Superman is really just some giant douchebag with massive commitment issues. How the hell does it protect Lois by hiding his true identity from her while he's dating her? If his ultimate plan was to protect Lois at all costs, then why even mess around with a relationship? There are seeds of a great movie here, but the actual product really kinda sucks. It's interesting how this movie really set the stage for so many much better movies to come, because as it stands, this is one of the worst DC Universe animated movies out there. I'd give this movie a 4 out of 10, and if I was required to write a one-word review of this movie, it would be lame.
Hey, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And if you really love this video, consider visiting my Patreon page.